Welcome everyone. Welcome back to the Arcade. I'm back. The Arcade Football Podcast. I'm back as well. This has been a long time actually. I feel like it's been about 6 or 7 episodes. So I appreciate you guys proving that you don't even need me anyway, because the episodes have just been better without me, so it's fine. But we got Matt Thorney, who's going to be doing a pronunciation lesson soon. David
Oh no.
and Stuart Irvine.
Hey guys.
Hello. Straight away.
Look,
I just even tried to hide it.
Like, you could have
That's horrible.
kept that going like what, half an hour in?
Yeah, that's what I
10
was. Yeah.
minutes? No,
well,
not even 30
Straight
seconds.
in.
we'll get to it. We'll get to it. We've got a couple of things we want to talk about tonight. Obviously, there's no league games or club games anymore. Club World Cup coming up, I guess, and we will talk about the fancy post/pre-season tournament. But we're going to start with Ange. I think we've got to start with Ange. Obviously, he was sacked by Spurs. Sort of between episodes.
Call it.
I mean, I think a lot of people expected it, right? But at the same time, you do go, well, he won the competition. He won a European Cup for Spurs. It does feel harsh.
It does feel harsh, but at the same time, you can totally get it. I mean, if the trophies were flipped, if he won the league and he failed to win the Europa League, there'd be no question he'd be there next season. But it's just the fact that the league form has been so poor. I mean, you say a lot of people have expected. I mean, I do feel like I was one of the first people on earth to say that if Postecoglou does win the Europa League, he will be off. It's obviously hyperbole, but I mean, I do remember saying it a couple of months back. Especially if their league form didn't pick up, it was just inevitable. There was no way, even though it was a first trophy for Spurs since 2008, and it being the Europa League, a major European trophy, there was still no chance he was going to keep his job.
You could argue though that he sacrificed the league form in the end for the cup competition.
But do you not?
We'll
think
never know
that
for sure, though, will we? We'll never know for
it
sure.
goes to show how important league form actually is.
Exactly.
Like, in your job, because they've got rid of him now for that.
It's quite sad to think that he's won the Europa League and been sacked. But if he'd have qualified for the Champions League in the top 4 rather than winning the Europa League and not won a trophy, everyone would be going, "What a great job he's doing, amazing!" And everyone would be happy. It's quite sad for the sport, really, when you think about it that way.
Yeah, Stu did not agree with that. I could tell by his facial reaction there.
I mean, I gotta be honest. It said like, if winning a trophy doesn't at least give you time, or at least give you like, benefit of the doubt, and go, okay, well, you won us a trophy at the end of the season, maybe we'll give you another shot. I mean, obviously we get to the point of talking who's going to be like the successor, but yeah, I mean, isn't it we all go after like Arteta about not winning trophies, but and these two kind of kept his job, and a top manager won a trophy and he's lost his, so it's a bit strange for me. I think winning Europa League made him deserve to have at least half the season next season. Give it a shot, see what happens.
I agree.
I mean, when you think about when clubs sack a manager, there's usually sort of like 2 or 3 reasons, right? 1, poor results. Yeah, I get that. 2, poor tactics, or the fans don't like the football, or it's not exciting, etc. 3, he's lost the dressing room. What I would say on that is this is the most supported Spurs manager in the dressing room that there's been in some time by the players. The fans loved his football, and he did play exciting football. Ange Ball was exciting. You can't argue it. And yes, the league form was disappointing, but he did win a European trophy. So when you look at it on paper, you go, that's an odd sacking. But I think it's the momentum over the season where it's built up and it's built up and it's built up. And I think Levy's gone, well, I look weak if I don't sack him.
I actually think that what you say there about the way he plays and is an exciting style of football is won him a trophy. I actually would go as far as to say his style of football suited cup competitions. It suited it to a T, and that's why they've done so well. Whereas league, I don't think you can. Well, it proved it last season. Not last season, season before now it would be. They come up against Chelsea, a game they and going into that game, they were actually firm favourites to win that game and run all over Chelsea. In the first 20 minutes, they did. And all of a sudden, everything went all haywire. They went down to 9 men, but yet they still played
high line,
expensive line. And it just goes to show, obviously that didn't happen all the way through his tenure, but in the league, it doesn't work. It doesn't work in the league. So, yeah.
I do think he's unlucky because you look at, like, even if it was a financial decision, well, they've qualified for the Champions League and they've won the Europa League, which is going to get them a boatload of money. And then you look at the commercial bonuses they're going to get now from being the Europa League winners. Here's your champions, etc., whatever you want to call them. It's. I think he's unlucky, but Tottenham fans 6 months ago would have said sack him, and I think you do have to take the whole season into account as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
On the subject of replacements, obviously Tottenham, it looks like Thomas Frank at Brentford's the top guy they want. Silva at Fulham was talked about as well. These sort of managers that are doing well with the teams that you would consider worse than Tottenham in theory, on paper anyway. My question to you guys is, why would Thomas Frank leave Brentford to go to Tottenham?
But you can say that about any mid-table manager going to a top-table team, because it happens all the time. It even happened with Nuno a couple of seasons ago, who was it Wolves, I think?
Yes.
And then he went to Tottenham. You could say, well, and Wolves were doing relatively okay at the time. They weren't doing amazing, but you could say about that about any team. Why would Graham Potter leave Brighton to go to Chelsea? When he's got a good thing set up there. It's always money, isn't it? It always comes down to money. Better opportunities, better stadium, a bigger fan base, all the rest of it. But I mean, it's a huge factor in it. It has to be.
But is it with Spurs in the nicest way? It's not like going to Chelsea where you've got, like, you can have bucket loads of money and do what you want with the side that is available to you. Daniel Levy is not going to give him that flexibility.
I don't mean in terms of money to spend in the summer for players. I mean just in terms of personal income. That money you can never really say no to. But yeah, no, I know what you mean. Obviously, Levy's famously kind of frugal with his money when it comes to spending in transfer windows and stuff. But I mean, but it always happens, doesn't it? Whether or not he'll be a good fit remains to be seen. Obviously, I think they are in advanced talks. It does look like it will be Thomas Frank, won't it? Doesn't it?
I mean, you've got to add in the Champions League as well. He'll manager wants to be in the same way. Players will see Spurs as a good option this summer because they want to play Champions League football. I get that. Yeah. I do think it's a massive risk for Thomas Frank if this fails, which history tells us it will. Let's be fair. I mean, you mentioned about managers that have made the jump up from an impressive mid-table team, let's say, to a top dog. Name one that's worked. I can't think of many. Do
you know what this stinks of for me? And it's actually a former Liverpool manager. It's actually, do you remember Brendan Rodgers when he was Swansea manager?
Yeah.
And then he took the jump and went to Liverpool. And don't get me wrong, everyone at the time thought this guy is going to do well with the side at the time. But in some ways,
I mean, I'd actually argue that was one of the success stories, considering he has the best striker to have ever played for him then. But anyway,
that's why I brought it up, right?
He is the best.
But yeah, I do think it's a massive risk for Thomas Frank. If it fails, he goes into this obscurity of all these other managers. And I think Brentford are a team that are on the up. They are built around him. They are built how he wants the team to be built, the club to be built.
Yeah, they could lose their two best players this summer. That's the only thing.
Brentford might be in a lot of trouble if they lose the two best players and the manager.
Do you think that Bremo will go to Spurs if Thomas Frank was to go there? Though?
No. And Bremo wants Man United because
I think he'll go to United.
These players that have grown up watching United be amazing, and he's called in by this. I play for Manchester United. There is certain players from certain countries who are pulled in by that, and I think Mbeumo's one of them. Look, whether you agree with it or not, that they are the joint most successful English club ever.
I think he's definitely.
I think is that right? Is Liverpool ahead of them now, Stu, or is it joint?
We've got more European Cups than them, so technically we're the
best.
It's
joint on league titles, way more European Cups.
But, I mean, Gary Neville said it multiple times on Sky Sports, so if he, so it must be true if he says it.
We trust Gary Neville. But so I
Gary Neville we trust.
Just onto the other options for the Spurs job, in case it's not Thomas Frank. Andre Silva, that's not his name. Marco Silva. Andre Silva's a Portuguese striker that played for Milan. I don't know why.
It's okay, Kyle. It's okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
At least you pronounced the name.
We'll get there. Silva from Fulham. Right, Silva from Fulham. Again, similar thing. I actually think he's more likely to accept the job than Frank in some ways. Frank might, but in my brain, Silva always saw Fulham as a stepping stone, right?
Yeah. Go on, Stu.
Oh, you got a situation. I'm not saying the same, but he obviously was at Everton. That situation that happened at Everton. I know it's not the same in the sense of. So he's a bit hit and miss at the moment. Like at the moment, he works at Fulham in his system, but then you've got what happened at Everton and that not working. So there is a kind of risk with him. Like you don't know what you're going to get. So maybe so it might be a bit more of a bigger risk. Maybe
potentially. There were some people talking about Oliver Glasner as well, whether Spurs should be going in for Glasner. And
no.
Tell me why. Tell me why.
It seems like a bit too early for him.
Well, I mean, obviously he was very successful at Frankfurt because he won the Europa League, didn't he, with them, and he's won the FA Cup with Palace. I'm not sitting here saying he's not qualified enough, but if I was to sit here and say who has a brighter, who seems to be going the right direction out of the two clubs, I would actually go Palace. Personally, I would go Palace over Spurs.
Right,
I feel like
so Glasner wouldn't.
There's more positivity around them, isn't there? And I think you'd have to kind of say as well that like you'd have to kind of say, well, right, what would Levy be on the board? What goals do they want for Tottenham for next season? So I think if you're looking at managers, because a lot of people might be saying, oh, well, they're in the Champions League, so they need to have European experience, or at least some. But I don't think the Champions League will be at all near the top of their list of, they won't be saying, well, right, we need to win the Champions League next season. The next season for them, top priority is doing better in the league. Could you imagine? But top priority for Spurs next season, without a shadow of a doubt, is improving league form. So the Champions League certainly won't be a top priority thing whatsoever. So any manager that comes in that has no European experience wouldn't be the worst thing.
I will say, as a neutral, I am sad to see Postecoglou go, because he has been a breath of fresh air in the league. He's so honest. He's had some run-ins with some of the media, but
he's had some cracking interviews, some cracking quotes. Yeah.
Even the run-ins he had with the media it's just honesty, where he's like, look, I'm just doing my job. Why are you guys getting so personal about it? Do you know what I mean? Yeah, definitely.
It sort of reminded you back in the days when like these managers, like when Mourinho first come in, who would just you didn't know what to expect from him in a way. That's what I loved about Postecoglou. But I mean, he'll be back in Europe still.
He'll be back. I think he'll be back in England.
I think a lot of Celtic fans are hoping to get him back next season.
Yeah, I think that's a step down for him. I think he'll be back in England.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I think actually you'll be surprised. I think you'll be surprised at how high of a job he would take. I could definitely see him taking a top 8 job in England still. I think a lot of people will rate him, because I think.
Oh, imagine if he went for United.
I just imagine him. Do you know what? He's not. He's not. He's clearly. He's got the skill and the kind of experience as a manager to kind of mix it with the best of them. I mean, he is a top tier manager, not top. Do you know what I mean? Like he's certainly a really, really good manager. So there's every chance he could be back with another top teams, whether that's England or elsewhere. Who knows? But
I think
he's no mug,
I think club owners will probably look back on his time at Tottenham better than you think, because I think people are forgetting the 6-month injury crisis they had, and it was an injury crisis, to be fair. So he had a difficult
all their
job.
Defenders, keeper, yeah.
He did have but I bet, to be fair, Matt Thani, you're probably quite glad that he's gone, because it's a difficult pronunciation, right? If there was a player out there, right, I'm thinking, I don't know, like a left winger from PSG that came to the league. How would you say his name?
The Georgian fella.
The George. Do you know that one you've been searching pronunciations on YouTube?
So cool.
Oh, mate.
Why did you mention it, Matt? Why did you mention it? You should have said nothing. You should have said absolutely nothing.
Did you miss me, boys?
Do you mean? Oh, I can't even like. I don't know why I find it so hard to pronounce, because it's like everyone else can say it. It's not...
In fairness, it's a tricky one. It doesn't trip off the tongue. It doesn't trip off the tongue.
It's like two different names. Like
that wasn't bad. Hey, that wasn't bad.
That was
the one
a good
before
effort.
we started recording was way worse. Yeah,
the one we started recording wasn't even Georgian. I don't think so. It's fine. Good effort. Well, so from one London club to another, let's talk about the issues at Palace, because it looks like the case at the moment, anyway, is that Crystal Palace will not be playing European football next season due to a loophole in the rules that says this multi-club ownership. Now, I'll be honest, I haven't looked into it so much, but my brain immediately goes Manchester City, Girona. Mm-hmm. How is that? How are both of those allowed to be in the Champions League competition together?
Is it percentage?
I had a look into it. So I had a little bit of a look into it myself last week when I saw about it, and you are right. Yeah, it's multi-club ownership, and basically what it's about is to stop any, how do I say, like any bias, all of this sort of stuff happening in the club, like any dodgy dealings happening, all this sort of thing. But the thing straight away, like Carl said there, Man City, Girona. Like it's stupid. It is absolutely silly that they can't play in Europa League if that does happen.
I want to give credit actually right now, because I'm just looking it up, to Nottingham Forest. At the time of recording, this is coming out in the last couple of hours. They've written to UEFA to express concern over this idea that Palace won't be allowed to play, and Forest are the team that will make the step up to Europa League. By the way, if Palace are not allowed.
I remember reading somewhere something about, was it, there would be a kind of a kick in the teeth for the Palace fans, so they give their spot to Brighton because of where they're positioned.
So no, I think Forest are going to the Europa League, and then Brighton are going to the Conference League, from what I read. But to be honest with you, the whole thing's a farce, because my opinion is this: if you're saying that multi-clubs can't have the same owners in the same competition, or part of the same ownership group, whatever you want to call it, that's fine. Then you're not allowed multi-club owners. UEFA should stop multi-club owners. It shouldn't be possible that the guy from Palace can also own. Is it a German team? I think it's a German team.
A Spanish team as well, Girona, isn't it?
No, Girona and City, I think, is the same.
Oh, right.
But again,
because I know that in the Europa League, there's one that the Palace owner has, and then if they drop down the Conference League, there's also someone in there.
Yeah,
so it's like,
it's actually Lyon in France. Yeah.
43% stake or something. He has like 43% stake, if I'm reading it correctly. In like what? So like, I get it, but like, it's just the problem. The problem with it is just like, it's like Palace, like what they did in the FA Cup, and it's like their reward for obviously what is winning trophies to get the European football, and then they lose it because of a rule that, let's be fair, were they looking up? Were thinking it'd be a problem?
Exactly, like they're being penalised here.
I mean, it is a joke.
I mean, you can sit there and say with Man United, like obviously, Clefiso was it Nice, like in France, like was it part of that? So it's like you can go through the list. It's just,
but again, my issue is, okay, so if this is the rule, why is it only applying to Palace here?
Yeah, but
why is it not applied to City and Gerrard? Because I'm going to check this because I don't want to be wrong, but I'm pretty.
Is it to do with sort of revenue, annual revenue, or something like that? Like just whoever has the smaller amount of revenue. I don't know.
So in July 2024, so 12 months ago, it was confirmed City and Girona would be in the Champions League together. So as well as Man United and Nice, as someone said. So UEFA open proceedings about it. And they accepted the admission of Girona and Man City to the Champions League, as well as Man United and Nice to the Europa League, as they were able to demonstrate that changes brought them. Basically, no one is simultaneously involved. So that's apparently why.
Oh, right. Because I was thinking there it might have been maybe because Palace didn't actually finish in the actual European spots. They're in because they won the FA Cup. I was thinking that might be why. I don't know.
So I've read about this, and basically the guy at Palace is obviously involved at Lyon as well. He is involved in both clubs.
Steve Parish, is it?
No, it's not. It's an American.
Oh, is it? Right, okay.
But he is involved at both clubs, so technically it is breach of the rule that allowed City and Girona in. That's all right. That's fine. The issue is, if you look up, there was a deadline to be met for this American guy to excuse himself from one of the two teams, basically, which he can do. He can just say, "Look, I'm not involved in the running of it. I own a stake, but that's it." That deadline was before the FA Cup semi-finals.
Oh, come on!
Oh, that's ridiculous.
So some will say Palace should have been on top of it and more aware. I get that, and maybe they shouldn't have took a risk, but it is UEFA playing the big boys role. To be honest, if this was Tottenham, there'd be no questions asked.
Or maybe is it not a case that this guy, this American owner, maybe had already quietly behind the scenes gone with that other team, the German team, whatever it was, as opposed to going with Palace? Like saying, I'd rather this team in the Europa League than my other team, Palace. No.
Yeah, we don't know what's going on behind closed doors. I mean, the truth is, you're probably right there, because I think Lyon qualified for the Europa League by their league form, and Lyon are more likely to qualify for the Europa League than Palace were to win the FA Cup. So maybe that was what his thought process was, but it looks like it's going to bite Palace. And it's a real shame for the fans, especially as when you look at their history, and I couldn't tell you exactly what year it is, but when the English teams had a European ban after the hooliganism debacles, the final year of the ban, Crystal Palace qualified for Europe, right? Or no, maybe I got this wrong. Maybe it's just before the ban came in, actually. Crystal Palace qualified for Europe, and then the ban came in and stopped them from playing in Europe. So Crystal Palace fans will be fuming if this ends up like this. If you're Brighton, I mean, yes, from a business point of view, you go, look, it's not our decision. You play the Conference League, but you're a bit ashamed, aren't you? You're a bit ashamed that you play European football.
Quite a bit, I reckon. So yeah, it's I think it's just all that hard work. You get to the FA Cup final, you win it, and then you can't.
I think
it's not fair.
I know what you mean. But I think to kind of look at it from a different perspective, if you were, say, someone like Nottingham Forest, and say if they had finished in the top 5 last season, and then that rule had somehow applied to them, because that's basically what they were fighting for the whole season, to remain in those top 5 positions, and then obviously ultimately get Champions League football. But Palace weren't fighting for Champions League football last season. That wasn't their aim. Their aim, as with every season, is to finish as high as they can in the Premier League and maybe have a good cup run, which they did last season. They ended up winning the FA Cup. So obviously, as sore as it will be for them to not be in Europe, in a year's time, they won't care. They'll have forgotten all about that, even halfway through this season. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a sore one. It's a really sore one. But I think because what you mentioned there, Matt, that like it's a shame that kind of they were fighting for it all last season, but they weren't necessarily fighting for Champions League football, were they? Do you know what I mean? Or not? Sorry, European football.
I guess,
that wasn't
but
still, like I know they earned it. They won the FA Cup and they achieved they got a spot in the Europa League, and now they're not getting it, which is just.
I'll be honest.
it's
sorry,
a horrible
David.
way.
No. You do sound like a Man United fan that's got used to European football and doesn't quite appreciate
United
it.
haven't had that much European football in the last 13 or 14 years, mate.
Yeah, for these Palace fans, it's a once in a lifetime dream.
Yeah,
and you know what? Palace would probably do better than United have had in previous European campaigns or whatever. So.
and to give the full context and to go round it out, you mentioned about Forest. Olympiacos have the same owner as Forest, and Olympiacos won the Great League this year. They've qualified for the Champions League. If Forest had qualified for the Champions League, they would have had a problem, except for the fact that in April, before the deadline, the owner diluted control of Forest to beat the rules. So I don't know. I can see both sides, and it does
on top of it, sort of thing. Yeah,
it does sound like Palace are being screwed in a way by the rules. Yeah. The rules are crap. That's a crap.
Or just the negligence of this owner person, whoever. Yeah. Well, look, either way you look at it, it's a kick in the teeth for them. Like, it's not great at all, is it?
Yeah.
I mean, there is that documentary, isn't it, where eagles don't die, eagles can't die, or something like that. The Palace documentary. Well, their chances of Europe is dying. So unfortunate for them. Right, what's on our list? So we spoke about Ange, we spoke about Palace. I'm ready for this one. Jack Grealish looks like he's leaving Manchester City.
Good for him. Good
for him.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love the fact that he's come out and blasted City in the press a bit, by the way, in his social media.
I'm not a fan of that now.
I love it.
You know, I always really, just to get a bit of that going in the media, a bit of a media war between him and City. No, I always hate when players kind of do that, especially when they're still technically at the club. It just reminds you with Sancho and all that kind of stuff. What he did with him and Ten Hag.
I do feel bad for him because there is this PR campaign that Jack Grealish is now a terrible footballer, right?
Well, when you look at his numbers, and I know he's not a terrible
but you look at his numbers
because his return has been terrible.
If you're playing 6 minutes every 3 weeks,
I know.
Can you play well?
No, I agree. And I mean, I think it's 12 goals since he's been at City in the league. 12 goals.
He had that one good season. He had that first season he had a really good season.
Yeah, but I think his most prolific season in the Premier League for Man City, he'd scored 5 goals. So even when he did get the chance, he wasn't really putting away that many goals in the first place.
I think he's been a disappointment at City, and I think Jack
huge
himself will probably
for the money that he was bought for as well. I mean, was it 100 million?
Yeah.
And just with that, the praise that Pep Guardiola put upon him, he's one of the England's best young players. I'm not buying him for what he is now, I'm buying him for what he will be in a couple of years' time, all this kind of stuff. And it's not worked out at all. And I mean, look, no one can tell the future.
Sure, but it was the wrong manager.
Completely. Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Like, in hindsight, I mean, at the time, everyone sat there and thought, this is a cracking move for him. He deserves it, all this sort of stuff. But in hindsight, now you're like, you had the wrong manager.
The truth is,
like, if it was Klopp, I think he would have, if it was Jurgen Klopp, I think he would have thrived.
Yeah, absolutely. And actually, I'd go one further than that. 25-year-old Jack Grealish would have been an amazing player under Unai Emery.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, yeah.
So,
boy.
I would take him back in a heartbeat.
Yeah, you could just see though, couldn't you? Because he was so dynamic and sort of unpredictable at Villa. But when he went to City, he was obviously put into this kind of very rigid system that Pep Guardiola wanted him to be in a kind of very specific area over on the left-hand side. So a million times he would get the ball over on the left and you think, right, you can beat a man here and put the ball in, do whatever, cut back in on his right and swing it in. But it just collect the ball, hold on for a couple of seconds, and then just pass it back into midfield.
It diluted his best qualities, didn't it?
It did, it did. And it took away all of his best weapons, and he was very ineffectual.
I still think there's a top-class player in there still to show itself.
Quite possibly.
He's 29 years of age, so he's at. You either do it now or you're done. I get that. But
you have to say though as well, though. Sorry, Matt. Some of his off the pitch antics haven't held him in the greatest light either, have they?
No, there are rumours about.
It puts into question his character, perhaps, and yeah. But sorry, Matt.
No, it's all right. I was about to say that there's one player like Jack Grealish is probably the one player who has benefited the least from Guardiola's system.
Yeah,
but a player who's probably benefited the most, and his views uncertain as well, is Raheem Sterling. Like he benefited quite nicely from that system because he have that season where he scored got ridiculous numbers.
2018 or so. He was super.
Yeah,
but
he was
I mean,
really
that was 8 years ago now.
Yeah.
Or no, 7 years ago.
And I just think Pep just preferred Raheem.
That's a long time.
I think Pep actually just liked Raheem Sterling better than Grealish. I don't know.
I think Jack Grealish will leave City this year, and I think it will be a late transfer. It might be a loan deal. His wages are a problem, and there's not many people going to pay his wages at the minute. He's got to go out and prove himself again. I wouldn't be surprised if we see him in Italy, for example.
Yeah,
or
I can see him at Napoli,
something like that. I think that'd be a massive shame because I don't think Jack Grealish wants to.
Back to Villa on loan?
I think Jack Grealish would in a heartbeat. Yeah, I think 75% of the Villa fans would take him as well. But it's whether I don't know whether Emery wants this Jack Grealish. That's my concern.
And that's the thing.
Because if you bring Jack Grealish into this Villa dressing room, is he a problem? Do you know what I mean? Because Jack Grealish coming back to Villa will give him a lot of power at this club because he is one of our greatest players. Do you know what I mean? That will be a fact. And what he's gone on to do at City only furthers that. You know what I mean? A Champions League winner, a 2-time Premier League winner now. I mean, he's got more trophies than Gerrard.
Yeah, and he'll be their highest paid player as well when he comes in. I think that would be such a bad move for them. I missed that. I missed that call. Sorry.
He hated that, didn't he? He hated that.
I mean that was a guess actually. Gerrard might have more like League Cups than that, I guess, but it's probably quite close.
No, I'm not jumping on that.
Actually, I want to know now. I really want to know.
I really want to know.
I think Grealish hasn't beat.
I reckon it's proper close now.
Leagues, FA Cup, Champions League, League Cup.
You got the Champions League 2005
and the FIFA Club World Cup.
FIFA Club World Cup. Oh yeah, don't forget that. What about the Super Cup? Did he ever win the Super Cup?
Thank God, he's won 7 trophies. He won the Super Cup.
Gerrard?
Grealish, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think Gerrard's got 7.
He might.
Something you're in trouble with too.
He doesn't. Gerrard has 6.
Yes.
No.
Oh. Gerrard has 5.
Well, what trophy are you not counting?
The player of the tournament trophy.
Individual accolades do not count.
So does that then mean that Grealish makes it into an all-time Premier League 11 over Gerrard? No.
No.
You could argue that Jack Grealish is a more successful Premier League player than Steven Gerrard.
Oh yeah, of course.
You could argue that Jack Grealish is a more successful.
When people compile all-time Premier League 11s and people put Gerrard in there, because what? He's never won the thing. Like, get him out of there. What's he doing in there? Like, honest to God.
Are you kidding me, man?
I never understand that. Even when Liverpool fans would have been,
come on, Stu.
Never won the bloody thing. Like, why?
Let the cork out. Come on.
On the bench, maybe. But
are we talking about the same? Are we talking about the same guy that probably like Mourinho tried to buy twice? So Alex, I think, won at one point.
I'm not doubting that he was a great player, but in terms of all time, we're going off on a weird tangent here. But we're in terms of all time Premier League 11s. When people put Gerrard in, ahead of like Lampard, Scholes, Vieira, all these great players, and put Gerrard in. Like, I just never understand it. Anyway,
I actually agree. To be honest, I love Gerrard.
Yeah.
He was my favorite player. He was my favorite player as a kid.
That's it.
If you're talking success,
it's over now.
He's had no success. If he'd have left Liverpool when he was probably supposed to,
put him in a few Premier League
titles, wouldn't he?
Put him in a League Cup, starting 11. Yeah, do that. Work away,
great. FA Cup, that final. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. We can. Anyway,
I can't believe I was.
Look, obviously, Gerrard goes in as one of the best Premier League players. Absolutely. He probably isn't in a top 11, fine, but he's definitely not one of the best Premier League managers, if it helps.
I think the best way to put it is that he is the captain and legend of a Premier League 11 to never win the Premier League.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
He's the best
he's arguably the best player to have never won the Premier League. Arguably. In terms of who's done it over.
We get on a tangent here, but I need to know who you think it is. I think it's Gerrard. I do personally.
I mean, Gerrard's up there. You could argue Luis Suarez should be up there.
Do you know
if
w's
he's
funny?
The best striker of
if
all
he went
time.
in there for long enough, I love Luis Suarez. Everyone knows my opinion, Luis Suarez, especially Kyle. But no, I genuinely do think Gerrard's for me. Yeah.
Gerrard
Shearer.
most.
What
was
Shearer
Gerrard's
won it
most?
with Blackburn. Take it back.
What was the best trophy? What was the most prestigious trophy? What was the most prestigious trophy Gerrard ever won? What was his biggest trophy? The Champions League. He wouldn't get into a Champions League all-time 11 either. So why would he get into a Premier League all-time 11 when he's not even won the trophy?
What are we doing? Unbelievable.
So,
Kyle, don't mention Gerrard in any sentence anymore.
I don't know where that came from for Gerrard, but anyway, sorry. What were we chatting about? Palace or something?
We were talking about
Grealish.
Obviously, a left winger, and we expected to be one of the best left wingers in the world. Matt? Who do you think the best Georgian left winger in the world is?
There you go. That's you, Kyle. That's you, mate.
I didn't know Fabian Delph played in for Georgia. Anyway, all jokes aside, Grealish, where do you guys see him going?
I think you go Villa on loan. I can see it happening for some reason. I just can. Yeah, good squad player to have.
That's the thing. His wages are. I don't understand people like players who kind of demand that. Players like Sancho, where the only real thing that would keep other clubs from buying them would potentially be their extortionate bloody wage demands. I don't know where he could end up. I don't know, but I agree with you, Kyle. I do still think he has something to offer. He's been shackled by Guardiola for too long now, and I think that there is still a player in there who can make differences in games, and score goals consistently.
I'm going to throw one out there. Tottenham
wouldn't be it. That's not a bad shout.
Tottenham have wanted him for a long time. Daniel Levy has wanted him for a long time. They bid every year more or less. He was at Villa in the summer.
But if Thomas Frank, let's go. Like if Thomas Frank
will do what he's told by Daniel Levy, I think.
But I don't think that Thomas Frank would have Jack Grealish. I don't. I think it doesn't fit in with his system. Really, I just don't think he would. But I also think that the players they've got there, I can't see him getting in over them necessarily. Like Son, would you put him in over Son?
But then
they'd probably split the games between them.
I've heard they might sell him though. Like, so maybe he might situation get because he's getting to that pit, Maybe.
No, they're not going to sell Son this summer. They're not going to sell Son.
I doubt they'd sell him.
You cannot sell your captain and sack your manager after just winning that trophy. That's surely not.
But we are talking about Tottenham here.
I think for Grealish, it's going to be important for him. His aim is he wants to be in the England World Cup squad, right? That's his big aim now.
Yeah,
it's his last big tournament potentially, really, unless he has a really good couple of years. He wants to be playing Champions League football. That's the thing that's going to stop him from coming back to Villa. I'd say he wants to be playing Champions League football, really. And Napoli, like Stu said, that's. You could see a Milan or something like that, and an Atletico Madrid, maybe.
That's not a bad shot, actually.
But in terms of England, I actually think Tottenham's probably his most makes sense to place, if that makes sense. I'd love him back in Villa. But
I think whoever does end up getting him is going more so by faith than opposed to recent form. Because one goal and one assist last season. Granted, he played in very patchy kind of periods. One goal, one assist in the whole season, and 12 overall since he's been with City in the league. But there's nothing really to go. There's not really anything to go from recently in terms of form. So you're purely going on faith that there is still a player there who can contribute goals and assists and all the rest of it.
It's funny because there's probably about 12 different clubs across Europe, including some of the English teams like Tottenham and Villa and, as we say, Atletico Madrid, Napoli, all that. They've got a list of players, and on that list, next to each other, are Jack Grealish, Marcus Rashford as potential targets. So those two will be in the same conversations all summer because they're very similar players in a way. I mean, Grealish is more technical than pace, but
I think
Sancho as well. Sancho as well,
The failed England left wing position.
Yes.
But yeah, so that's Grealish. Look, we debated something already with Gerrard. Matt Thorney's great idea this evening is to start the debate.
It was after yesterday. This was after yesterday, obviously.
This was after Cristiano Ronaldo came out and said he's not going to play in the Club World Cup. However, he's not ruling out the potential of, playing for an Argentinian team in the future and potentially playing alongside Lionel Messi. So the question is, boys, and I think at this point we frame the question not who is better, who was the better footballer, because they are at the very end of their careers now, nowhere near the level they was. Who was the better footballer, Cristiano Ronaldo or Lionel Messi?
Can I just say very, very quickly, just before we get into it, I was delighted when Ronaldo decided not to play in the Club World Cup, because that was clearly one of the things Infantino was really hanging his hat on. Like, oh, please, Ronaldo, please come and get more eyeballs for this bloody awful tournament. So
what a joke it would have been.
Did he announce it on like a live stream or something? Because some just a streamer.
Probably.
I remember seeing that. It's just like, we're talking about the head of FIFA going on some sort of like gaming stream channel trying to convince clubs to buy Ronaldo so they can play in the tournament.
Yeah, the clubs had the option to buy him, like rent him basically just for the Club World Cup, like just ridiculous.
It's just
so glad he said no.
Oh, it's a joke.
Yeah,
talk about integrity.
But back to the debate.
As I come up with it, and obviously not everyone will agree with what I say, but I don't care. I've been told I can't put Luis Suarez in the debate, so I'm not.
Yes, I stopped him.
Yeah, no. His face comes. But anyway, back to the topic at hand. It's Ronaldo for me. It's Ronaldo every day of the week. Purely for me, down to he's done it in England, he's done it in Spain, he's done it in Italy. Saudi Arabia doesn't count, and he's done it in international level as well. But not only has he done it at international level, he has he's won the National League twice now. He's won the Euros, and he's their all-time top goal scorer, and he's got 5 Ballon d'Ors to show for it. For me, not only is he a better footballer than Messi, I actually would go as far as to say he's the greatest of all time.
I agree with a lot with what you said there.
I'm confused. Does Cristiano Ronaldo not count as a striker? Anyway, look, I actually agree with a lot, like David says, a lot of what you said. I think my issue is a lot of people make the point that Ronaldo's better because he did it in different areas, different countries, and he did it so successfully. And that's an absolutely fair point to make. Until when you really think about it, Messi spent all them years at Barca, yes, but then he did go to PSG and was successful. Right?
Was he?
Absolutely.
Absolutely, won the league.
Yeah.
I mean, technically he was there to get the Champions League, but yeah.
Did Ronaldo win the league with Juventus? I don't think he won the league with Juventus, did he?
I'm pretty sure he won the league with Juventus. Maybe
against same reason.
Can I
just pick up on one thing you said there, Matt, as well? Yeah, everything you said there. Yeah, and the fact when you say he's the greatest, you think he's the greatest of all time. It's kind of difficult to disagree with that. One thing I do disagree with though is Ronaldo, in both of their primes, was not a better footballer than Messi. I think Messi was comfortably a better footballer.
If someone said to me who I would pay the money to watch, it's a bit like. For me, I always say if someone gave me the last £20 and I could buy that to pay for a ticket to watch any footballer in the world in history, it'd be Ronaldinho. I've always said that. That is my favourite footballer of all time. However, I would say yes, I do agree. Messi beautifully, in the sense, was a better footballer, but in terms of numbers, how good the impact they made to the side, I actually would say Ronaldo.
They're both big, and they're both big game players. They both scored big goals in big finals. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I just think in terms of pure footballing ability, I mean, they both had pace, they both had dribbling, they both had finishing. But I think Messi, if you were to kind of I think Messi was a significantly better dribbler, better passer. better vision, overall vision of the game. Obviously with heading and stuff. I mean, Ronaldo obviously had this. He's like a foot and a half taller than Messi, so he always has like air battles and stuff is obviously for that. But I have always, for me, I don't know. It's always been a kind of recency bias thing. Like whoever I've seen most recently, like especially when they were in both of their primes. Like remember, Barcelona played Bayern Munich in the first leg of I think the semi-final in 2015. That goal that that Messi scored, where he kind of just puts Boateng on his arse and then chips it over Neuer, and then after that game, it's like, Messi is definitely the greatest of all time. And then you watch other games with Ronaldo, you go, oh, you know what, maybe it's Ronaldo. So it's always flipped back and forth for me. But now looking back, I'd probably someone who I always prefer. I think Messi's better to watch. Was always better to watch, but Ronaldo had the better numbers.
I think it's so hard to split them, right? Because for every argument you make for one player, there's a different argument for the other. So, for example, Cristiano Ronaldo, arguably for trophies, more successful, 100%. I get that, but Messi was super successful with trophies. Still, Messi was probably a more beautiful footballer in terms of the way he played, not just his looks, but Cristiano Ronaldo.
Because you can grow a beard and you can't.
Wow, that's jealousy. That is jealousy. Cristiano Ronaldo, an explosive, pacey, impactful player who, in the same way, is just as entertaining to watch. Messi played for perhaps the best team in the world ever, probably the best team ever. That Barcelona team. Ronaldo played in that Real Madrid team that won 4 Champions Leagues during his time there. That has to go down as one of the best teams in the league. Ronaldo's went to Juve, did win this league twice, by the way. I'm just looking, so he did win the league twice.
Right. Oh, okay.
So was successful in Juve. Messi was successful at PSG. Arguably, Ronaldo probably more successful, but hard to say. And then you look at the now Ronaldo's gone to Saudi and not done a whole lot, I don't think. I don't think he's
Messi
won
done a whole lot
with
Inter Miami.
Messi won the league.
They won.
And
he won that. Didn't he win like a MLS Cup or something?
So he won the Supporters Shield, which I think is like their look. Americans are weird, but it goes league and then into a cup competition and all that sort of stuff. But he did that.
Americans are weird.
Messi obviously won the Copa America, and Ronaldo's won the Euros. Messi did win the World Cup and won
that's the big one.
Olympic medal, which for a young player is a lot. They won the same amount of Champions Leagues.
Same Ballon d'Ors, or did Messi have won more than Ronaldo?
Messi won 4 Champions Leagues. And sorry. Ronaldo won 1 more Champions Leagues.
Surely.
Because for the 4 at Real Madrid and the 1 at.
So Messi had 3, right? 2009.
Messi had 4.
2015
and 06.
2011
and 06.
And
he
06.
He was part of that 06 team, even if he was on the periphery. It is so hard to split them. To be honest with you, I genuinely think we are looking at 1A and 1B of the best players to have ever played the game. And
but who's A and who's B, Kyle? Who's A and who's B?
Come on, don't sit on the fence.
It's all preference, isn't it?
I just don't think
it's personal preference, isn't it? Exactly, Stu. It's all down to personal preference.
They are as successful as each other. The only thing I think in my brain that brings it down genuinely is Ronaldo returning to United and failing so spectacularly like he did. That is the one failure on both of their
failure. What was he
CVs.
Supposed to do? Drag them to the league that season? I mean, he did score
I agree, but he should never have gone there, is what I'm saying. So that will go down as that spell.
It wasn't a tactical move. I think it was more so he was likely going to go to City, and then Ferguson calls and goes, "Don't do that. Come to us. Come back to us."
Maybe.
And then Solskjaer had to work his way in, and it's like, what do I do? And he did score goals and stuff, but I think you
could argue though, if he'd gone to City and won the league like City did, then he would have been more successful than Messi. Do you know what I mean? So it's hard. That's the only thing. I mean, that's the only thing that brings Ronaldo. When I look at Messi's career path and I look at Ronaldo's career path, I don't know. There's not a lot, but Messi perhaps Perhaps. But I couldn't even tell you why. That's the problem. It is just pure, I like Messi better.
Then personalities come into it. Ronaldo's flashier and Messi's a bit more reserved and all the rest of it. But I mean, in terms of numbers, Ronaldo has definitely got more trophies and more goals. So you'd have to say, he has obviously Messi with those two parts. But yeah, I think it always just boils down to, when it comes to this debate, who you prefer to watch and just personal preference,
I mean, if we're putting personalities and legacy into it, then Messi is clear. That should be said. There are allegations regarding Ronaldo that shouldn't necessarily be brushed over. But obviously we won't go into too much of that. But I think if you're going on legacy, then you do kind of have to mention that. And Messi probably has a better legacy, is what I'd say.
Yeah. I think what you could say undoubtedly is they are both. Messi is Barcelona's greatest ever player, and Real Madrid, Ronaldo is Real Madrid's greatest ever player, and arguably United's greatest ever player. Do you not think?
I don't know.
Real Madrid.
You know what? Now you mention that, that's the one thing I think that goes to Messi, because he probably is Barcelona's greatest ever player. But because Ronaldo split his time everywhere. Will he go down?
But he's arguably United's best player and Real Madrid's best player.
You don't think that Ronaldo's Real Madrid's best player?
I don't know. I don't know if he goes down.
Who is in that debate?
I mean, look, Raul's got to be in the conversation. It depends on what we're saying here. Is he the most talented player to have played for them? Probably, yeah. Is he the most successful player to have played for them? Don't know.
There might be players who in the 60s and 50s have won like some trophies.
Butragueno and
Butragueno and players like that. Yeah.
Same at United. Would you say that Ronaldo is more of a Man United legend than Ryan Giggs?
No. That's what I'm saying. Arguably, he may be in the top 5 or something.
But Messi is without a doubt.
Messi, yeah.
Barca's top guy.
So he has that. He has that accolade, you could say. Yeah.
But maybe swiftly followed by Luis Suarez in second.
Well, Real Madrid.
I tried, but
Stu,
it's a debate.
That all our three. Stu, what about you? Come on.
What's my preference? I mean, personally, when I want to, again, it's a go by my gut. My first instinct obviously was just because personal preference. I just enjoy watching him play more than obviously I would say Messi. But again, it's more because again when you think of Messi, it's just the way he's like dribbling and the way he got past players, and with some of the outrageous goals he scored, it's like that's just the same reason Matt, when you were saying about Ronaldinho, like you want to see him because he's like takes on players, done crazy skill and gets past people. But Ronaldo's, there's no doubt he's still there because obviously the goals, the numbers, what he's done, what he's won, like the pure determination to be successful and be elite. And he's 40 now?
Yeah.
And he's still kind of pushing. I mean, he's still pushing to try and say, no, I'm gonna keep playing at elite level. And he's pushing himself.
Going to be at the World Cup next year.
Yeah, I reckon he will be. If
he wins the World Cup next year with Portugal, would that seal it?
Will he be able to lift the trophy? I don't know.
He'll have to reel him out.
This is the thing. There's an argument for everything you said. Personally, I don't think it's fair that people say about Messi, oh well, Ronaldo didn't stay at Barcelona for 10 years and went and played for all different. You could then go, well, Messi didn't need to do that because he stayed at the best team in the world for 10 years.
Yeah.
So there's so many different arguments for it that I think you just go round and round in circles, and you just have to go, they are the two best players to have ever played. And we are so lucky that we were able to watch them play at the same time. It is without a doubt the most historic. People talk about the teams. That is the most historic football rivalry of all time.
That was when the El Clasico was at its absolute best. When those two teams played against each other, it was great.
Yeah, I think there's a famous game. I think it ended 2-2, didn't it? And both of them two got the goals like in the game. It was
that the one?
There were a few games like
there was a few iconic.
Like 2011-12.
There was one where Messi scored the winner, and then he went over. He held his jersey up in front of the Real Madrid fans.
That
was a great. They were the 5-3 or something. There was a crazy game where Di Maria was one of the best players on the pitch, actually. But they've had some mental games together. And
here's something I will say, and we talked about legacy. I actually think Cristiano Ronaldo, in terms of the sport, will leave a larger legacy, because I don't think Ronaldo is done with the sport anytime soon. In terms of, yes, he will retire as a player, but he will absolutely go into management, go into coaching. When you look at him, he is a manager, and I do not think Messi will. I just don't think Messi's a coach and a manager. So I think Ronaldo's got more to do. But it's definitely a debate. So let us know down below who you think there's going to be arguments.
There is one more thing to say, and it's
do not bring up Luis Suarez again.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not going to bring up Luis Suarez. But it's the most important thing when it comes to this debate, and this settles it once and for all. Cristiano Ronaldo done it on the wet Tuesday night at Stoke City. Messi didn't. End of discussion. Done. Right. Anyway,
Spain probably have their own.
Matt, wait,
they did it on a fairly drizzly
wet Tuesday night at Celta
Yeah. So Ronaldo never did that. Oh wait, he did.
I'm trying to figure out if Cristiano Ronaldo has scored at the Britannia.
Well,
yes, he has. I know he has.
Yes, he has. He did. Yeah. His only appearance.
There we go.
Britannia,
end of discussion.
Not the World Cup, Messi win World Cups and stuff like that. But now he scored in against Stoke. That decides it. That's it. That's what decides it.
Exactly.
There is another argument to go. A question about it is, who do you think future players will try to be?
Oh, Ronaldo. I think Ronaldo, every young player coming through now, they all idolize Ronaldo. Like Mbappe, Yamal, when they get in interview, they always say, oh, Ronaldo was my hero, this and that. I don't think you see many players, hear many players, maybe they do, I just don't know, but I mean, who kind of try to emulate or say that Messi was their idol over Ronaldo. Because Ronaldo Ronaldo was the bigger superstar, wasn't he?
Yeah. I think what you say there, Carl, is that like who they try to emulate. I actually think Ronaldo's style of play suits the football of more today, whereas Messi's, like Messi, Eden Hazard, trying to think of other ones, like players that run through the.
I get what you mean, but then
those players are dying off.
Do you not think PSG were more like the Barcelona of old than a I don't know, a Real Madrid recently or whatever?
I don't feel like Keskowskelia is
don't hit yourself there. It's gone rogue.
Bless you. What was that?
Is quite that sort of player. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Isn't football changing though as well? Because obviously this season's kind of proved that the kind of style of kind of rigid positional players like changing. So like letting players be a bit more flexible and that. So maybe. But I think it's changing. So that there could be players like that maybe in a couple of years. I mean, we're getting a Lamine Yamal. I mean, it's pretty much turning into that kind of player.
Yeah. I mean, players like Ronaldo and Messi, especially players like Messi, are so unique and so like one in a million. So just generational. Like, who else would be able to like get the ball and just like dribble past 5 players and score in the back of the net? Like, you don't prepare, you don't train to be able to do that week in, week out.
It
was just ridiculous.
For both Ronaldo and Messi, I don't. Their history and their greatest achievement won't be their playing style. It won't be the impactful goals Ronaldo scored or the Messi's chips and all this sort of stuff, the free kicks. It'll be their stats. We will never I feel quite sad because in our lifetime we will never see one player, let alone 2 players, hit the levels that Messi and Ronaldo consistently hit for so long.
Yeah, I think the one league that they did, I think the Champions League was both of their league. They just lit the league up every single season. It was always so exciting when those two got kind of to the latter stages of the Champions League.
I think there's like the 2 goals for me that like highlight the sheer quality of both of them though. One is the goal that Messi scored against Real Madrid. Where he ran from the midfield all the
semi-final.
way through. Yeah, I feel Sergio Ramos was following all the way, wasn't he?
Yeah, I remember that. That was
I remember standing there thinking, this guy is like really good. Like he's really good. And, it was probably the best goal I can think of that he scored. Obviously you said about the Bayern one he done against in the Champions League as well. But for Ronaldo, it's got to be the overhead kick against Juventus. Like that was just.
That my jaw hit the floor when that went in. Like I could not believe. I mean, he's obviously had some amazing goals, especially for United as well. I mean, some absolute belters. But that overhead kick against Juventus was just something else.
His two most iconic goals will be that overhead kick and that free kick against Portsmouth. That's his two most 100%.
Oh,
and then you look at Messi.
David James stood there, just like. What
do I do? That was mental. That just didn't make any sense.
You look at Messi, and you mentioned the goal against Real Madrid and at the Bernabeu. Yeah, that's up there. But then you've also got probably the goal he scored younger in his career. Actually, I think it was probably his best, which was I want to say against Rayo Vallecano
when the Maradona one.
He was the Maradona one, and he took.
Oh no, that was Girona. I think that was Girona. Where he just goes. He starts at the beginning of the pitch, and it's basically identical to Maradona's goal against England.
That's probably his best goal.
I love that goal. Yeah, it's just it's terrible defending, but brilliant goal.
Because to be fair, you could argue, and again,
think about the goal, why don't you?
We're going round in circles here, but you could argue Ronaldo was a scorer of great goals. Messi was a great scorer of goals, if that makes sense. Because Messi wasn't someone who's going to score, apart from the free kick against Liverpool, maybe, amazing goals every week. Ronaldo probably scored better goals, but Messi was so consistent as well.
I think Messi maybe scored more unique goals. Yeah, I mean, like you say, you can go on and on and on and on and on.
Yeah,
but you know.
But it's all about who can perform at the Britannia Stadium. That's what matters.
Okay, hang on. 2 minutes. 2 minutes. You're right. You're absolutely right. It is all about who can perform at the Britannia Stadium. So,
did Suarez score?
That's what I'm checking.
We're stoking it. Oh, they were. Yeah, he must.
Please tell me he scored there. Please.
5 goals, right?
Yeah. Norwich City. He scored there, didn't he?
Oh, did he? Yes.
He scored twice in the league and twice in the league.
Yes. There you go, Lewis.
League Cup doesn't count, so you know. I'm joking. There you go. You know.
We're taking another trophy off Gerrard then. If that's the case, then he's down to 4.
Don't get that going again. No more.
Do you reckon Messi sits there and goes, yeah, all right, Ronaldo did it on a cold Tuesday night at the Britannia, but did he do it on a warm Sunday evening at Mallorca? You know? Well, yeah, he still did. That's a shame. But yeah, it's a debate, definitely a debate that will go on forever. Let us know in the comments down below. Let us know what you want us to debate next. And if it's Luis Suarez related, I'm not doing it.
I'll happily do it. Matt, I'm in. Whatever you want to do Suarez related, I don't mind.
But yeah, thank you very much for watching along.
I'm right. Right. What did you say?
I actually think Kvaratskhelia will be a better player than Luis Suarez. So
that wasn't the best pronunciation.
It wasn't awful. It wasn't. Yeah.
The signal's going. The signal's going.
Yeah.
Right.
Hang on.
Right. We will be back in some form. A version of us, whether it's me, David, Matt, or Stu, or anybody else. Have we had anybody else on yet? We haven't had anybody.
What about your mate, Matt?
If you want to join us, if you want to join us, as long as you agree that Luis Suarez is the best, by all means, join in.
If you want to come on, if you want to come on this, if you want to come on this Teams chat and open up the most wildest debates, we are possibly not going to do it, but we'll see.
Brilliant. That'll be brilliant.
Right. We'll see you guys later. Say goodbye, everybody.
Goodbye.
Bye.
All the best.